Hello class, welcome to Lab 3 using Ubuntu. The purpose of this lab is for us to get more familiar with Ubuntu, the interface, working a little bit on the command line, doing a couple of mundane tasks, just so that we can get a little bit the ball rolling, so that you don't feel so out of place. So let's get started with question 1, using Ubuntu for basic tasks. I'm not going to do every one of them, just the one that I think a little bit of hand-holding is required. So let's open a terminal. So we have the terminal right over here in favorites. Let me put this on the side, and let me put the terminal on the side. Actually, just have it like this, it's fine. Now we're gonna type the date command. Perfect, as you can see, it shows us the date. Now what we're gonna use this for is to practice with our screenshot tool, FlameShot. Now if you completed lab number 2 successfully, FlameShot should be bind to your print screen key on your keyboard. So if you press the print screen key on the keyboard, it will successfully launch FlameShot. Now, if you didn't, you can always find it by typing FlameShot, press enter, the little indicator appears over here in the notification tray, click once, take a screenshot, and now you can take a screenshot manually. I prefer to use the key binding, so I'm gonna press the print screen key on my keyboard. Now I'm gonna take a screenshot of this part of the terminal where I show the command running, and now I need to do some annotations over here. So let's see what we got. I'm gonna use the blur option over here to blur this a little bit just for the fun of it. I'm gonna use the little square to highlight the output of the command, the little arrow to point at the command, and then the text key to say this is the date command. Right? Now we're gonna save our screenshot inside our repository. So I'm gonna go home. Notice that says CIS 106, which is the folder that I want. I'm also gonna make my life easy and create a little shortcut over here. Again, all I did was drag and drop it. Now over here, I'm gonna go inside labs, and now I'm gonna create a folder for lab 3. I'm gonna call the lab 3, and in here I'm gonna call this question 1.1, just in case I need to take more pictures. Q1.1, question 1.1. I'm gonna click on save. Now let's move along. Now we're gonna create a desktop shortcut for the website, so we can just launch it by double clicking something on the desktop, right? Similar to how you see the picture over here. So we're gonna open a text editor, so I'm gonna search for my applications, text, and here we have text editor. And in the text editor, I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to paste it over here. I'm going to do a little modification over here to, let me see, the icon is located inside home. That's CIS106.png. All of that is fine. I'm going to click on save. And I'm going to place this in the desktop folder. So I'm going to click on desktop, and I'm going to name this CIS106.desktop. Make sure that you're spelling this correctly, because if you spell it wrong, this is not going to work. I'm going to click on save, and now we have a file on the desktop. I can close this, minimize, the file is over here. I'm just going to move it down here. Perfect. Let's move back here. Save it in your desktop, and on the desktop right click on the CIS106 desktop file and enable launching. Now before we do that, we need to download the icon. See, you can find that by clicking on Linux Fundamentals. You go to the home page and just right click on Save Image As. We're gonna place this in, we're gonna place this inside home, and we're gonna name this period logo.png. Is it called logo.png? Let me make sure. Right click, open with another application. Sorry, cancel. It's called, okay, no, it's called CIS106.png. Perfect. So let's do that. Save image as period CIS106.png, and we're gonna place it inside the text, inside home. Again, home, CIS106, starting with a period. Again, make sure you're spelling this correctly. Click on save, and we're almost done. Now we're gonna make this launchable. So we're gonna right click, allow launching. We're gonna go to properties, permissions, all of that is fine. Now let's troubleshoot this real quick to see why this isn't working. Okay, desktop entry, type application, terminal false, that is fine. Home.cis106.png. Let's see if the file is over here. Now, to enable hidden files in your Ubuntu graphical interface in Nautilus, press the Control key and letter H. All hidden files in Ubuntu start with a period, and pretty much in every Unix system. So that cis106.png, that's correct. So let me edit this. So we're gonna can just open the text editor one more time. Open. This is the file that we are working with. And here, where it says home, I am going to type the full path, which is home slash, and then the username, which is, in my case, is RA Alberto. In your case, is gonna be whatever username you select for your virtual machine. So in my case is RA Alberto. I'm gonna click on save, and this should work perfectly. Now we have that part over here fixed. Now if you double click on this icon, it will launch our website right away. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to add this icon to our favorites bar over here. So the first thing is we're going to copy this to our applications folder inside that local share applications. We can do this by running this simple command right here in our terminal. Okay, now we're going to run this command, which is going to add this custom icon to our favorites bar. Paste it, press enter, and now we have it right over here, and it launches the website. Yay, great. Now write a document. Here are the instructions. I will let you do it on your own. It's straightforward. Also the same thing for presentation. And now play around with Ubuntu settings. That we're gonna do together. So I'm gonna close the terminal. I'm just gonna leave the website open for now. And to open the settings, we can right click on the notification panel and click on settings. That's one way. Another way is by clicking the menu icon and just typing settings. That's it. Now let's see what is it that we need to do over here. Let's move this side by side. I did this by dragging and dropping the application on the corner, or by pressing the Windows key and then the arrow keys on my keyboard. Now we're gonna click on System Tray and open settings. We did that. Now we're gonna change the background. That's the first thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna click on background. We have a bunch of pictures here that we can pick from, but I want something more interesting. So I'm just gonna use the internet for that. This wall heaven. I think this website, yep, this website has very nice wallpapers we can use. I'm gonna look for something minimalistic. Let's see what we got here. This is interesting. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. Let's see. None of these tickle my fancy. So we're gonna look for something else. Let's see what we got here. I like this one. I like this one. I like the little kitty over there. Save image as. I'm gonna call this wallpaper.jpg, and I'm gonna put it in my pictures folder. Save. Now here in the settings section, I'm going to click on add picture. Make sure you're in pictures. Click the image that you downloaded. Now we're going to click on open. Select the image. And now I can press the Windows key and letter D on my keyboard, D as in doctor, and that's going to show my desktop. Again, you can press Windows key and letter D again, and that shows your desktop. Okay, so let's go back over here. I like that little wallpaper. Next, Go to this site and download a new wallpaper and add it as the background. What's the site? Okay, yeah, Wall Heaven. You see, I was getting ahead of my game. Now, play around with the appearance of Ubuntu. Now, click on Appearance and let's see what we can do. I prefer dark theme. I am a sucker for dark themes. And now we can click an accent color over here. I like the orange one, but you know, this one is also nice. The green one I like too. I'm just gonna stick to the orange one. I like the orange one. Pick whatever you like. Now let's see here, the desktop and icon size. That's the size of these icons over here. I'm just gonna click on small. Oh, that's for the desktop. Desktop over here, small is fine for me. Position of new icons, bottom right. No, I want it in the top left corner, right over here. So every time a new icon appears on the screen, it's gonna appear on this side here. Show personal folder. This is this folder over here. I don't need that, so I'm just gonna remove it because I already have access to that personal folder over here. Auto hide the dog. So when you turn this feature on, it will hide this automatically. I don't like it, so I'm gonna keep it off. Panel mode. When you turn it off, it becomes like this. I prefer this over the whole panel. I don't like the whole panel, so I'm just gonna keep this. And now the size of these icons, I'm gonna make it smaller. Yeah, I like that better. And if you have multiple displays, you know, here you can choose in which display you want this menu to appear. I like it what it is right now, and I only have one display. And we can also change the position. Here you have it in the bottom, and here you have it in the right. I'm just gonna keep it on the left. I like it there, that's fine. And here we can configure the behavior of the dog. I don't want to include drives that are unmounted, and I don't want to include network drives either because I have none. So actually just turn it off from here, it's fine. And if you like the trash icon here, but I don't, so I'm gonna remove it. If you like it, you can keep it. And that's it. We played around with the appearance a little bit. Now playing around with the notifications. So here we have notifications. Yes, I want to turn on Do Not Disturb. When you turn it off, it shows notifications over here, like you see. I don't want notifications there. I don't want to be notified of anything, so I'm going to turn it off. Lock screen notifications. So if you lock the screen, you're going to see notifications in the lock screen. I don't want that, so I'm going to turn it off. And here is the different applications that can show you notifications. You know, you can play around with that if you want, but since I have Do Not Disturb, nothing is going to appear over here as well, so I'm okay with that. Let's play around with search now. I don't want, so when you have this on, every time you click on search over here, it's going to look for, let's say, wallpaper, right? Notice that in files, it found the file called wallpaper. Now, I don't use this feature, but if you would like to have this feature on, leave it on. I don't, so I'm gonna take it off and turn this off too, turn this off as well. I don't have a character synced in, that I don't need, that I don't need. I will keep software, and I don't need terminal search either. So I only need software, so I'm gonna keep that there. Now let's see, to change the screen to blank to never in the power settings. That's all the way down here, but let's see what multitasking has for us. This is hide corners, so when you turn it on, let's see if I can enable it, if I can trigger it. I have dual monitor, so it's a little tricky to trigger the hide corners. That's what the hide corners does. See, I don't use this feature, so I'm gonna take it off. I do use active screen edges. That's what this does, so I use that, so I'm going to keep it on. Dynamic workplaces, you know, so that's a different workplace. I can open an application here. I use two workplaces, so I'm going to keep it on. And yeah, I think that's good enough. Here we have application settings, which we're not gonna play around with. We have some privacy settings over here. And we have online accounts. We're not going to connect none of our online accounts here, so we're going to keep it on. Let's go straight to power. We don't have a sound card, so we don't need it. And we are not going to use network shares right now. We'll do it towards the end of the semester, so we're going to leave that as is for now. In power, we are going to change the screen blank to never. And automatic suspend is good to be off. And this is useful when we are on a laptop, but I'm on a desktop right now, so I'm going to keep it off. Here we have some display settings that are pretty much useless for us in a virtual machine. We can change mouse and trackpad settings, but that's fine. On your free time, feel free to play around with all the settings so that you can get a feel for the system. Now we're going to install a font in our computer, right? That's pretty cool to do because we're going to change the default font in our terminal later. So we're going to go to this website over here. And we need to install a couple of them. So we're going to install FiraCode Nerdfont, FiraCode Mono. My advice, just pick 2 of these, but if you want to do them all, you can do them all. I like FiraCode Nerdfont, and I like the Mono one, so I'm going to go and get ahead and start with that one. Let me move this to the side, I'm going to do Control F so that I can find the file faster. FiraCode, I like this one, so I'm going to download it. And I like the Mono one, so I'm also going to download it. And in Consolata, and also in Consolata Go, is it here? In Consolata Go, Nerdfont, right here. Also download in Consolata Go, in Consolata Nerd. Iosevka, I think that's the name of it, so I'm going to download this one as well. The JetBrains one is a good one too, so I'm going to download it as well. I like this one too. And that's it. Let's wait until this is done. It's taking a little bit. Okay, now that I have downloaded all the fonts, I'm gonna open File Manager. I don't need this page open anymore. And I'm gonna go to Downloads. So we need to extract all of these files. I'm gonna delete this because I don't need it anymore. And this is a duplicate file. This one is a duplicate file. I'm gonna get rid of it too. And now I'm just gonna highlight all of these guys up, right click, and extract here. We're gonna give it a moment for it to finish extracting all the files. Okay, so now that everything has extracted, I'm gonna get rid of this. Now I'm gonna open another file manager. I'm gonna right click in Home and then open in a new window. I'm gonna do a side by side over here. Now we're looking for a folder called .dat fonts. If it doesn't exist, we need to create it. So we're gonna right click over here and click on New Folder. Period. Fonts. Inside this folder, we're gonna place all the fonts that we downloaded. So we're gonna start with FiraCode. To select all of them, we're gonna press Ctrl and then A, meaning select all. We're gonna then drag and drop it over here, and that's it. We can get rid of these two files. Now we'll do the same thing with the following folders. Okay, now that we have copied all the fonts to the .dat fonts folder, we can go ahead, go back to downloads, and we can delete all of these folders because they are not needed anymore. I'm gonna close the file manager, close this file manager over here, and then we're gonna open a terminal and run the following command: fc-catch space -vf. This is gonna take a little bit. And that's it. Now we're going to open an alternative terminal application, terminal emulator called Tilix. It's my favorite terminal emulator because of a lot of the features that it has that right now, because we're early in the course, don't make a lot of sense, but later on are going to come very handy to us. So we're going to open Tilix over here. Then let's open the settings to modify the appearance of Tilix a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to open the app settings by clicking on the hamburger menu over here. Then click on preferences. We're going to click OK on this message. And we're going to click on the appearance tab. Now, because I'm using dark theme in my system, it already changed to, what is it? The theme variant is going to set to default from the operating system. I'm using dark, so it's the same thing as doing dark over here. Notice that no changes were made to the terminal. If I change it to light and I close, oops, preferences, appearance, oh, okay, that didn't change, that is weird. We're just going to keep it on dark. Now we're going to add a background so that it doesn't look that boring. I'm going to look for something minimalistic, so I'm going to look minimalistic dark wallpaper. So it looks at something interesting. I like this one. It's a little interesting, right? That's a nice one. That's a nice one too. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to save, open image in a new tab, save image as, and I'm going to call this terminal BG for background. We're going to save it in pictures and we're going to click on save. Let's see if we can find another one just for the sake of showing. That's an interesting one too. Let's see if we can find something that's branded. I like this one. That one is nice too. Dark minimum mountains.png, that's a good name. So we're going to click on save. Now we're going to click on background image, open file, pictures, open. So nothing appears yet, but that's coming. So now we're going to move to the default profile. Now over here, we're going to change the font. So let's move it to the side, move it over here so we can look at the changes. We're going to click on custom font. Then from here, I like Fira Code. Let's see how the light looks like. That doesn't look bad. But let's see how. Now that's a terrible font. Incancerada Go. That's not bad. Okay, let's see how letter I, number 1, L, Yeah, that doesn't look bad. The one looks, the letter L looks a lot like an I. I don't like that. It's one of the things that I don't like. Let me see. O and 0 are very different, and then capital O, yeah, they're very different, which is good. I like this font. I'm gonna keep the Inconsolata Nerd font regular. Okay, now change the cursor to an underline. Now this is up to you. I like the underline better than the other options because it tells me exactly what I'm typing when I'm typing on the terminal. So to me it's better to use the underline, but if you like the I-beam, that's fine. Cursor blink mode, I like it on. I like my cursor to blink. It's just personal preference. Again, we're just playing around with the system, so just do what you prefer. Now we're gonna change the theme of this part over here. So we're gonna go to color, and here we have a couple of presets. You can also design your own if you like. So for example, we have, this is the default, which is Linux. We have also the material, Monokai Dark. A lot of people prefer that one. This is actually not bad. Orchis. This everywhere on the internet, people love that. Tango, Yahoo. I definitely don't like that, so I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna stick to the Linux one. I like the dark and green, it's just nice. And now we're gonna add some transparency, and notice how our images start appearing over here. I like it to just be slightly visible like this. It just looks nice. It's just a nice little touch. And yeah, that's about it. Feel free to play around with the other settings over here. If you break it, don't worry about it. Uninstall the program, install it again. No big deal. Next. Now for this question, you don't need to give me a screenshot for this question. I'm gonna look into your GitHub repository, and if I find the document, the presentation, you know, I'll give you the credit for the question. But if you want to submit something, you can take a screenshot of your terminal. If you want to show me what you did, that would be cool. But yeah, you don't have to give me a screenshot over here. With these two parts, I'm okay. Now let's move along. Question number 2, trying out a different desktop environment. During the class, we discussed the many different desktop environments that exist in the Linux ecosystem. One that I like to use in virtual machines is the GNOME Classic, because it consumes very little resources, you know, when you compare it to GNOME 42, which is what we're using right now. To install it is actually very simple. This command will do the trick. Right, so we do install, and this is the name of the package, GNOME section flashback, and you're good to go. So we're just gonna copy this whole thing, and we're gonna paste it in our terminal and just let it do its thing. Now this is gonna take a little bit, so be a little patient for it. Just be a little patient and don't get desperate. Go grab a cup of coffee if you need to. I'm just gonna pause the video and wait until that program finishes installing. Okay, the program has finished installing. We already have GNOME section flashback in the system. We're gonna log out and we're gonna log in the classic GNOME or GNOME 2 version. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna close this. So I'm at the login screen over here, and let's type our password. Press on the gears icon over here on the bottom right corner and click on GNOME flashback Metacity. Now press enter to log in. And you're gonna notice right away that this looks a little bit different, well, a lot different. Like we have a panel over here in the bottom, right, with a workspace switcher. We have a notification tray on the top, so that's the same. But this looks old. It looks different. You know, I prefer this in virtual machines, like I said before, because it consumes less resources than the newer GNOME. So that's why I prefer this one. You don't have to use this. You can go back to the previous GNOME if you prefer that. But everything here is, you know, it's just accessible via the menu here. I suggest you to play around with it. Like, have some fun. Like, do something on it. Now, if you want to go back to the other version of GNOME, that's fine. I'm gonna be using this for the most part of the course because I prefer the performance that I get out of it. Now I'm just gonna open my terminal. Let's go to System Tools and Tilix right over here. Let's go back to lab number 3 and continue working on this. Okay, take a screenshot of your Ubuntu system. Okay, so we're gonna take a screenshot of all of this, and that should be fine. We want a screenshot of the entire thing. Save a screenshot, and we're gonna call this question 2.1, and we're gonna click on save. Question 2.1, alternative. Now, in this question, we're gonna be customizing Ubuntu 22.04. Now, I'm gonna do this question last because it's not required, it's just an alternative. You're not gonna get any extra points if you do it, and you're not gonna lose any points if you don't do it. This is just for fun. That question, just for the fun of it. So you can we're gonna just move on to question number 3, and at the end of this video, after we submit everything, I'm gonna go back and do question 2.1 for those who are curious, for those who want to see it. So now, in question number 3, we're going to be installing applications. This goes back into our second presentation on the apt program that we use for installing and removing software in Ubuntu. Now, what I gave you here is a little scenario. So you need to find a program that can play a Tetris game, a program that can play a video file, a program that can browse the internet, a program that can read your email, and a program that can play some music. Now, here we're going to use a little bit of common sense. Now, a program that can play a Tetris game. So if I were to search for my database of software, obviously we're going to use apt search over here like we did in the lecture, right? Like we do in the presentation. But we need to provide a search criteria, right? So I'm going to say apt search, give me all the programs that contain the word Tetris in their either name or description. Tetris. Oh, sorry, I spelled Tetris wrong, so Tetris. There you go. So let's do a search. And we got a bunch of stuff in here, so we gotta read a little bit. So let's go all the way to the top and see. So we have Bastet, and curses Tetris clone with the Bastar algorithm. That's a it's not a very funny word, isn't it? And we have Block Attack, a puzzle game inspired by Tetris. I'm gonna choose this one, Block Attack. I'm gonna be honest because I played it before. So let's take a look at Block Attack. So I'm gonna open a terminal on the side by pressing, let me just make this a little bigger. Just gonna press this button over here, which is gonna split my terminal in half. And I'm gonna do sudo apt install block attack. Right. By the way, this is called, like you know already by the third presentation, the tab auto completion. I just typed the beginning of the word and I press the tab key on the keyboard, so it will auto complete the command that I'm typing. Press enter. Now we're gonna type our password. The system is gonna tell us, hey, I'm gonna use 6,000 kilobytes of your space. Are you okay? Sorry, 9,000 kilobytes of your space. Are you okay with this? Yes. Please go ahead. And the program has been installed. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into applications, games, and yeah, you can see that we have Block Attack over here. Let's launch it to see. Single player, slow. Yep, see we have 1, 2, yeah, that's I didn't read the instructions on how to play, so I'm gonna suck on the game, unfortunately. So I'm gonna just exit. This is just a demonstration. We're gonna close it. You know, okay, we have other programs over there that you can install and play around with if you like. Okay, now let's continue. Play a video file. Now, what kind of program can play a video file? It's a good idea for you to write down the program that you installed over here. It's called Block Attack. So let's just open a text editor. Right here. Let's just make sure we copy this so that we don't forget, because we're gonna need it later for our submission. So we're gonna minimize that for now. Okay, so the next program here that we want to use is play a video file. So think about it for a second. What kind of program can play a video file? Well, a video player. hence the name, video player. So I'm gonna do the same thing, apt search, but I'm gonna look for a program that can play video, so I'm gonna look for a video player. Now over here we also get a bunch of results because a lot of programs match the descriptions. There are a lot of video players. So we have AView, a highly quality ASCII art image viewer. This just doesn't do the job. This, you know, by reading the description we'll think, yeah, it might not be it. So let me continue reading to see what options I got. Lightweight command line video extraction tool. I have a video file that I need to play. This just doesn't do the job. Based on the description, I know this is not going to do the job. Commercial detector, I don't even know what that is. That doesn't do the job. Simple video player, oh, interesting, simple video player. It's called Dragon Player. Let's give this a shot. So we're going to do a sudo apt install Dragon Player. It says, hey, I'm going to use 99 megabytes of space. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Go ahead. Use your 99 space. Let's wait until the installation progress is done. By the way, you don't need to pick the same programs that I pick. I will not take points off if you pick the exact same programs that I'm picking over here. You know, but like I said, you don't need to pick the exact same programs. You can just play around with other stuff. But if you pick the same things that I'm doing, it's okay. That's fine. I understand. Just make sure you practice. The whole point of this lab is so that you practice. That's the whole point of it. Okay. So the program has finished installing. Let's see if we can find that in the applications, in the list of applications over here. So I know it's not a game. No graphics, internet, office, programming, sound and video, and we have Dragon Player right over here. And yeah, it looks like a nice video player. You know, it looks like you can play a video file. I'm just gonna close this and I'm gonna write it in my document over here so that I can remember. Dragon Player. Okay, minimize. Next, browse the internet. What kind of program can browse the internet? Well, an internet browser. Again, we're just gonna search for internet browser. Okay, so we have Mate desktop environment, Ubuntu Mate desktop environment. This doesn't do the job. I know this is not, you can tell by the description that this is not an internet browser. So let's try a different search criteria. So what is a synonym for internet? Well, how about web? Web browser. Let's see what comes up with. So we have a bunch of stuff. So now we need to read. We need to be more careful in what we pick. So let's go all the way to the top, to the beginning of the output and see what we got. Ooh, that's a lot of packages that match this criteria. Okay, so that's when this is where we type the command. Let's see, world best email client. That's not what I'm looking for. A web browser based IRC client. No. Web browser, WebKit or Gecko based IRC client. This is not what I'm looking for because it doesn't sound like a web browser. It sounds like it's an IRC client based on a web browser. So that's not what we're looking for. So let's keep on looking. That's not it. A web browser for the Plasma Mobile. Angelfish. A web browser for Plasma Mobile. It sounds like it's sort of what we're looking for based on the description, but let's see what else is there. I mean, you can install it if you like. Let's see how big it is. So let's do sudo apt install Angelfish. So we see that it's 166 megabytes. So, and it's gonna install a bunch of stuff. It's gonna install a bunch of stuff over here. Let's press no on this and see what else we find, right? Because we're not 100% sure this is what we're looking for. So Bluefish, Advanced GTK Plus Text Editor. It's not what we want. Circular Genom Viewer. It's not what we want. Create and visualize. Not what we want. Nope. Not what we want. Let's keep looking. What else we got here? Epiphany browser, intuitive GNOME web browser. Now this description looks a little bit more, you know, sort of what we want. Like it says intuitive GNOME web browser. This does match more to what we're looking for. So let's give it a shot. Epiphany. Well, let's double tap. No, double tap over here. No. Oh, so I'm misspelling this. Epiphany browser. Let's see how big this is. It's 107 megabytes, but the description does match what we are looking for. So let's give it a try. This is one thing that, you know, is good about virtual machines. Since this is an environment we can break, doesn't matter if we install something that's not quite what we want. We can either remove it, roll back to our previous snapshot, you know, build a new VM. That's the perfect learning environment. A machine that you can break and you lose nothing but time, pretty much. Okay, now let's go into our list of applications and see if we can find it. So I know this is related to internet, and I know I have something new called web over here. And well, it looks like a web browser. Let's go to Google, google.com. Well, voila, it is a web browser. Perfect. So let's copy the name of the file of the software that we installed. Let's go over here. Perfect. Now this one and this one, I'm gonna leave it to you. Now I did the first three examples. You should know, you know, how to think about this pretty much. Give it a try. See if you can figure it out. You know, as long as the package that you select does match the description that we're looking for, I'll give you the credit. Make sure you install the program and you test it out. Question number 4, trying out simple commands. Challenge question. This is a challenge question. I will let you try to figure this out on your own. You're welcome to ask me any questions in Slack that you feel like. There is only one thing that I will do here, and that is show you how to use the man command, sort of. So I'm going to close this over here, and I'm going to do clear. Now let's say that I want to learn more about a particular command. For example, the date command that we used earlier. I can just type man, which is short for manual, and then type the command afterwards, like date. This is going to open a document that's going to tell me a lot of things about the date command. The downside of man pages is that they are not intuitive. They're not meant to be guides. They're meant to be references, right? Just a reference page of how the command works, the options that the command have, and things like that. They are a little bit difficult to read, but once you get the hang of reading them, you will understand the terminology better. It's a matter of practicing. Now, to move around in this page, you can use the arrow keys, you know, up, down. You can use the space bar to go one page at a time. If you want to exit, you can press Q. Right? If you want help, you can press the letter H, and that's going to open the help page. It's going to tell you how to use the man pages, and then Q to quit the help page and Q to quit. Read the description of this question. Try to figure this question out on your own. Now, install this program. You need to install each and every one of these programs in order for you to have the manual page available for each and every one of them. You know, you can just copy this, sudo apt install, and install them. Press enter over here, and once you have them installed, you will be able to read the manual page, and then you will be able to run each and every one of these commands here. Again, copy, paste. If you have any questions, don't forget to reach out. Now let's prepare our submission, right? Once you're done with everything that I did in this video, you're ready to submit your work. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna close this, I'm gonna minimize this, I'm gonna leave this open because I'm gonna need it in a little bit. I'm gonna do applications, programming, open Visual Studio Code. Just gonna go full screen real quick. I'm gonna click on File, Open Folder. Then I'm gonna select my repository, Home, CIS106, and then click on Open. Yes, I chose the authors of this. I'm gonna open the terminal, New Terminal, And I'm gonna make sure that my GitHub repository and my computer are in sync. So I'm gonna do git pull. Okay, already up to date, perfect. I'm gonna close the terminal for now. Now inside labs, lab number 3, over here I'm gonna create a file called lab3.md. It's my markdown file. And I'm going to start by adding my name, course, semester. In this case is a spring 23. That's it. Let's add a title. Let's call this lab 3 submission. And now let's add a heading 2. We're gonna call this question 1. Just gonna copy this, make my life easy. Question 2, question 3, question 4. I think it's only 4 questions that we have in this lab, and yep, that's only 4 questions we have. So for question 1, if we go back all the way to the top, this question requires no screenshot. So since we didn't have no screenshots to submit over here on question 1, I'm just gonna put right over here, require no submission. Remember that as long as you have your files that you are required to create on question 1, I will give you the credit for question 1. So I'm gonna go and take a look at your repository for this. Question number 2. For question number 2, you need to take a screenshot of your Ubuntu system. But for question number 2, oh wait, we do have a submission here, which is Q1.1 Q1.1.png, right? And then the other stuff requires no submission. Now let's go ahead and do question number 2. For question number 2, we do have a picture, so we're gonna do question 2.1, then Q2.1.png. Now you see why I chose these shorter names. It's just making faster to type. Okay, now let's continue. Let's take a look at question number 3. In question number 3, we need to build a table, but I made your life easier. All you have to do is copy this, paste it right over here. Make sure you leave a space above and a space in the bottom. Save. Now we have a program that can play a Tetris game. So during the video, we found out that block attack is such program. So I'm just gonna delete this, paste it over here. Now, what version of block attack did we install? Now we can do that in the command line. Now we're gonna open the command line. And if you attempt to install the program one more time, sudo apt install block attack, it's gonna tell you, hey, this program is already installed and it's in its newest version 2.7.01. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm just gonna paste it over here. There are other ways that you can find this information out, by the way. Now the next one here is play a video file. We said that we got Dragon Player, and again, if I try to install Dragon Player, it's gonna tell me, hey, you already have the latest version of this program. It's for 2022. This whole thing is the version name. Then for browsing the internet, we have Epiphany browser. And it's the same thing if we attempt to install. It's gonna tell us you got the latest version. Here is the version name, the version code, the version number, by the way. I'm gonna format this. Ooh, by mistake, I don't have the extensions installed in this computer. You can ignore this part of the video. You did all of this in the second lab, so just taking care of it now. format your document. My document has been formatted. Again, right click, format document. Now this over here, I said that you are gonna do it on your own, so placeholder text, placeholder text. And I'm gonna format my document one more time so that it looks nice and neat. Again, remember, these two, you have to do it on your own. So I'm going to save, and then for question number 4, we have a couple of things that you need to do. For question number 4, you need to complete this table over here. Just going to copy this. Okie dokie. And that's about it. Now this question over here, you do not need to answer it. You do not need to answer this question. This is for your own edification, for you to pursue research on your own. You don't have to answer this. If you don't answer it, you won't lose any credit. That's fine. You know, that's just figure it out on your own. Just study on your own free time. What I'm looking for is for this table to be complete, and you'll get your credit. Now, before we do anything else, we're gonna save the file. We're gonna do a preview. It looks fine. We got our 2 tables. We got the pictures. We are good. I'm gonna close this, right click, and I'm gonna convert this to PDF. Perfect. Now that I have converted my file to PDF, let's take a look at what we need to submit. We need to send this to GitHub. So we're gonna do run new terminal, git pull, git add period, git commit -m, lab 3 finished, and then git push. Now we're gonna open GitHub. This is our repository, CIS 106, labs, lab number 3, and then this is the URL that I want. The URL to the lab3.md file. So copy this URL and then sign into PCCC. I think, let me see if my account is in this computer. I think it is. So we are gonna go to labs, lab number 2. Oh, sorry, I haven't created lab number 3. So I'm gonna pause the video, create lab number 3 real quick, just to show you what you need to submit. Okay, so you're gonna click on lab number 3, write submission. Remember, this is the URL that I need, so you're gonna copy this URL, paste it over here, and then you're gonna browse local files. Everything is inside your virtual machine, so you're gonna go to home, CIS 106, labs, lab number 3, the markdown file, and the PDF file. Upload, and then you hit submit, and you're good to go. Okay, cancel this out. Now we're gonna take a snapshot of our virtual machine, so we're gonna close this out. Let's just close this out. Close this, don't save, and shut down. Okay, so here, snapshots, take a snapshot, snapshot number 3, lab 3 complete. Okay, now to save a space, I'm just gonna get rid of this lab. Get rid of that. And that's it. Now I'm going to complete the alternative question 2.0. This, remember, it's not required for you to do. This is just for fun, so you can go ahead and skip this part of the video. Okay, so let me log out because we need to go back to default Ubuntu. So we're going to click over here and click on Ubuntu on Xorg. Okay, now let's open CIS 106. Lab number 3, and let's go straight to question 2 alternative. So we already did that. We already did this. Now let's go to the Software Center and install GNOME Extension Manager. So let's go over here. And right here, Extension Manager. This is the application we need. So let's click Install, type our password, and wait until the application is done installing. Okay, the application is done. We can close this, and let's launch GNOME extensions. Let's close that, and let's click on Browse. We need to install a couple of extensions here. So let's start with Blur My Shell. Now, before I do this, I want to show you something. When I click over here, notice that all of this over here in the back is black. That's about to change in a moment. Notice that now, when I click on the menu, I get a blur version of the wallpaper that my computer has at the moment. Little cool, right? So now let's do Burn My Windows. Burn My Windows. Let's click on Install, Install. And now, before we use this, we need to enable the animations. Remember we disabled them before? We're just going to enable them right now for the fun of it. Now that they are enabled, let's go back here. We're going to go to where it says Installed, and we're going to click on Burn My Windows. Click on the little settings icon over here, and we are going to disable this one. Click on Close. And look a nice and cool effect we get when we close Windows now. You can change this, by the way. There are multiple effects you can enable. For example, this one. What is, I like one that's called Burn, I think it is. Let's see. Is it this one? Nope. Oh, this one is a cool one. Matrix effect. Again, this is just, we're just doing this for the fun of it. After we're done with this part, you can just disable all of this if you like, or you can go back to GNOME 2. Just gonna close this, and let's see what else we have here. We have Control Flow Alt Tab. So look what happens when we do Alt and Tab, right? So we get this nice little, it looks nice, but could be cooler. So let's install Cover Flow Alt Tab. So now when I switch between applications, this is how it looks. Nice, right? Next, dash to panel. Dash to panel. Dash to panel. Click install. Install. Now, instead of having the little panel on the side, we have a little panel over here that looks similar to how Windows looks like. If you like this, you can keep it. Nice, right? Next, vitals. I like this one because it gives me tiny bits of information about my computer. Click install, install, and notice what happens over here. Now when I click over here, I get a little notification of some stuff that is going on my computer, how much memory is using, how much processor is using, and so on. I'm going to disable these three over here because I'm in a virtual machine, so I'm going to go to install, click on vitals, and I don't need temperature, voltage, or fan. Close, and now when you open, look, much more meaningful because we are in a virtual machine. Play around with the extensions if you like. Again, this is just for the fun of it. Notice that if you decide to keep all of this stuff up because because you want or because they look cool, this is gonna take a toll on the performance of your virtual machine. Like all of these fancy effects do require more memory, they require more power. Hence the reason why I prefer not to use none of this stuff in a virtual machine. In a physical computer, it's all fine, but in a virtual machine, performance is definitely going to suffer. If you don't like none of this, you can just revert your snapshot like I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. Power off, power off. And when I click here and I go in snapshots and I click on restore, this is going to bring my virtual machine back to the last time that I created a snapshot. So the last time that I created this snapshot over here, which was when I completed lab number 3. Have fun. If you have any questions, reach out to me via Slack and I'll be more than happy to help. See you next time.